Achike Chude is with us in the studio, and he is a public affairs analyst and an election observer, and he joins us live now. Also joining us via Zoom is Cynthia Mbamalu. She is the director of programs Yaga Africa, and she's also joining us live. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, I'll begin with you, Cynthia. In every election, or after every election, winners celebrate and the losers also complain. But for observer groups like yours, which is Yaga Africa, would you say we are making progress in terms of our electoral reforms? Are they effective right now?
I think first, good morning. But I think I would say that we are not meeting the expectations, and that is a difference, because when you have an expectation and the expectation is not met, and then it creates a lot of dissatisfaction or disappointment, and that is the challenge, because there's a lot of expectations from Nigerians that electoral reforms should produce or yield or result in better elections that guarantees confidence in the process. And what do Nigerians anticipate as better elections, or expect to be better elections, is that the process is transparent, that there is compliance to the legal framework for election, that is the Electoral Act, the INEC guidelines on elections, and that there's equal and fair competition for contending parties, and for every voter who turns out to vote, that each voter has an equal opportunity to cast their vote, and that their vote actually is counted. And so these are the expectations, minus the desire for a peaceful process. Because I always say, now we just say elections were relatively peaceful, but expectedly elections ought to be peaceful. So that's something to celebrate. The elections are relatively peaceful is something that should be a normality. So that should be a norm. And so for a lot of us that engage the process, I think where the worries come from is the fact that we invest a lot to advance or promote electoral reforms. However, when these reforms are achieved, the outcome or how it impacts on the process, does not get to the expectations that we have. Fine, we've had some progress from where we're coming from. I'm not saying that it's all bad. I'm just saying that there's a lot of expectations, because we can no longer make excuses for mediocrity in our process. And what are those simple things that we're expecting to observe and see in the process? I mean, if you look at the turnout, you can see that beyond just citizens losing interest is a bigger question around people not thinking the process would produce their outcome, so they don't even believe they need to vote. Some people tell you that elections, they only know who the winners would be, so why should I go out and vote? So it only tells that there's already a bigger question around trust. And so for me, the simple things that need to be achieved or addressed in every election is that, one, there is compliance and uniformity in the application of the rules of the game. That includes the Electoral Act, the INEC guidelines on elections, meaning that what happens in region or zone A should happen in zone B or polling unit B. That way, people understand that there is clarity. But if I give a simple example with just the results collation process, I was on the election on that Saturday night, the elections night, and even Sunday, just going on the INEC result viewing portal, you will see the disparity in the level of upload of results on the portal. And the guideline provides that should be part of our process post the review to the Electoral Act of 2022. You will see that in some regions there were uploads, in some no uploads. So even where the results are cancelled, those result sheets from the polling units ought to be uploaded so that voters would see why they were cancelled. So for instance, places like Zamfara that had to go for inconclusive, for instance, some of that was due to the fact that they were cancellations. You ought to see those things, because those are the evidence, those are the guides to tell you that, okay, this is why this election, this was the outcome here, or this is why this did not go this way. So I'm just giving a simple example on the level of adherence to the rules around that. Then things like logistics, things like ensuring that every polling unit is served at the right time and served sufficiently. It's still something we're dealing with. Let's not even talk about how our political class have looked for ways to undermine the process, because we still saw votes buying, we still saw attempts to disrupt the process by cutting away with elections materials. These things are things that we shouldn't be seeing now.
Exactly, well said. But we'll come back to that. That'll be right after this short break. We'll still continue this conversation. Don't go anywhere. There's more. Stay with us.